Hey YouTubers, Levi here again. This time we're spotlighting the wizard. This wizard has done a lot of different things since I first started playing it, but this was my main character once the expansion dropped. Pre-expansion I was a monk guy, and the monk hit some pretty hard nerfs coming into Reaper of Souls, and my critical mass wizard had some of the better gear post Reaper of Souls, and so that quickly became my main. I was doing the frozen orb spec that everybody else was doing, got a mirror ball, and was using the glacial spike with the magic missile. And I started noticing that the glacial spike did more damage and crit more often than the frozen orb did. And I saw a few other videos where people were specking over to fire instead, which is what this is. And I kept finding fire gear and kept finding, cinder coats and mage fists and everything. So I was like, all right, let's transition this character over to the fire build or the Archon. I watched a couple different videos and I wasn't really sure which way I wanted to go. So we sort of went fire Archon hybrid. And depending on what gear I get is really going to depend on where this goes from here. But we'll show over the skills here. We got Magic Missile, Conflagrate, Black Hole Spell Steal. These are pretty standard stuff. Boosts up your damage. Conflagrate, it keeps passing through the enemies, does good burn damage, and then hits things behind them. Teleport for mobility. Archon Combustion, it's fire. You do a lot of work to elite, so you really just ping them down really, really fast in Archon mode. And takes care of bosses really well. We got Energy Armor Pinpoint Bearer and Magic Force Weapon. These are pretty much buffs that just about every wizard is using. We'll pop those now so we can show off the damage here in a moment. Evocation for cooldown. This is pretty much only for Black Hole, Archon, and Teleport. Well, actually, those are the only skills that have cooldown, so clearly. But this is really just for the Black Hole and the Archon to come up more often. The Teleport is nice for the mobility and just quicker movement. Audacity, because when you're in Archon mode, you're mostly using the Power Punch, like your left-click skill, instead of the beam that we used previously before ROS expansion. And when you're using the fire, cold was easy. I could freeze stuff and kind of teleport and keep it at a distance. Fire just tends to keep coming. They just run right through it and come right towards you, and they want to get up in your face. So the extra damage and high crits off the fire is really good when things are running towards you while using the magic missile. Because that is really your main damage dealer if you're not an Archon. You're just going to black hole everything together and then magic missile them down. Blur, decreased damage taken, pretty standard, and Conflagration increases the critical hit chance by enemies that are hit by fire damage. This pretty much means that all three of the missiles you cast every single time are going to crit every single time as long as your enemy has been hit with fire previously. So that's really, really good because you get really consistent crits off of there, even though you should already have high crits already, but my crit chance 51%, crit damage 377. Alright, attacks finally breached the 2.0. We got some pretty decent res for survivability, and that's really all that's relevant here. The magic missile increase 39% is pretty nice. Fire damage is only 44% buffed. All that can go up. It's still pretty low, and my gear is still kind of meh. I really just kind of rolled some things together. And that's the great thing about this build is a lot of the stuff you can actually craft. You don't necessarily need a lot of gear specific, a lot of specific gear items to make this build work right off rip. So if you're trying to get into Torment or you're in Torment and you're trying to get higher, this might be a good way to establish that. So you see we're almost 9k intel, pretty high in the fight. Movement speed, intelligence, cooldown reduction, just a little bit of crit chance to beat that 50% mark, and then we started going into crit damage. Life resistance, pretty standard, and then we're doing area damage and life on hit. We don't really have any resource cost, because we're just spamming the magic missile, and then the gold finds, that'll just when 2.1 drops and you go and find those little goblins, you'll just re-roll that and just put everything in gold find before you go in there. Alright, so let's go over the gear really quick. Just got a decent Mempo with a decent roll on it. Just needed Vite for the extra survivability. This thing, just because it has trifecta and it was level 70 and it had decent intel, could be a lot better. The chest piece, once again, not that great for Tal Rashas, but we had to roll. I wanted to roll for higher intel since we couldn't get resist all. Oghild's two-piece with the shoulders and the bracers. I pretty much just kept these bracers because they rolled fire skill damage. We got the Ring of Royal Grandeur, so we can get the three-piece bonus off this. I was trying to get crit chance off this, but I rolled a socket on it, and with the upcoming of the new legendary gems, I decided to leave that as a socket because I might be able to make this really sweet. Also, we're getting the three-piece bonus off of this because we happen to get the belt, and once again, the belt isn't that great, but we rolled Magic Missile on it, so it's fine. A trifecta Mage Fist, which was a really lucky roll because we got good intel on it, good fire damage, everything else, perfect attack speed, really high crit damage, almost perfect crit chance. That's just an awesome set of gloves. I think it's going to be a while till I replace those. Just a regular trifecta ring there. Then we got two-piece canes. I just randomly rolled these. They rolled Magic Missile, fine. Same with these, just meh on the intel and vitality. They got some resistance, so we threw them on. A decent Thunder Fury. I've been re-rolling the main stat on this because this gets tossed between a lot of characters. So, if I needed it on my Barb, it goes on my Barb. I need it on my Monk, it goes on my Monk. But right now, it's pretty much found a home here. And then we got my Mirror Ball, which I got off of Kadala. Get that 2 extra missiles, and then with the added magic missile damage that I rolled on there, that's fine. So that's the gear. Like I said, the gear isn't really that fantastic. I do recommend having the ring and the Oghilds and the cane set. The magic find and experience bonus is pretty significant. And let's roll in here. Let's zone in. Hopefully our freaking frame rate doesn't drop so bad. But most of the time you're going to be shooting a pretty big distance. Didn't even have to black hole yet, but you see most things die pretty quickly. We'll black hole those guys together. The attack speed is really relevant for the magic missile because you want to get as many out there as possible. Coming across a frenzy shrine is really nice. There we go. We got an elite packs there. So we'll go ahead and we'll go into Archon and we'll show how nasty this can actually be. Just 2-shot elites. And you got it's just ridiculous. Oh, come on. Here we go. Boom, boom, die. I think there's 24 million. We'll probably slow-mo it down so you can see that huge crit that we pulled. But really, the Archon mode, I really try to save it in case I come across like an elite pack that's really just a pain in my ass. Because usually the black hole and magic missile will be enough to take out just about any elite pack. But if they're freezing or something annoying like that, Archon is a good way to go. Well, that's pretty much the end of the video here. I don't think we're going to find another elite pack within a reasonable amount of time anyway. Maybe if I was just a better explorer and quit going around in circles. And sorry for the no sound on the game. I was doing some practice recordings with the sound and I just couldn't get it to record well with my voice going over the top. It was just too much. But yeah, I think that's going to be the end of the video here. So that's the build. I hope you guys like this video. If you have any comments or any way I can make this build better, this is really something I'm not really sure where it's going to go in the future. So if you have any advice, that'd be awesome. I'm not claiming at all to be any sort of Diablo god or know-it-all about everything. I've been playing Diablo since the first one came out. I think I was about 12 or 13 when Diablo 1 came out, and I just fell in love with the series, and it's been a game I always come back to. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys that do like the data mining or whatever. They know a lot more than I do, and the theory crafting. So if you got any good ideas that I can, share with the rest of the community here once I find the pieces, parts, and the builds to make it work, please share the knowledge with me. All right, guys. Oh, here we go. We got a shrine. We got one last, and we got the frenzy shrine. One last elite pack here. We'll just do this just with the magic missile, since we got the frenzy. We can shoot fast. But you see how quickly it goes down. You know, all three missiles critting for 4.8, 4.5 million. It's pretty significant when you're getting on the boss like that, and they're getting all close range from all audacity. I don't need that junk. All right, guys. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and drop any discussion topics down in the comments below so we can get a discussion rolling here. Also, if you want to join my guild, I started a guild. We're pretty much just a tight-knit group of my friends right now. We don't have a whole lot of people, but named after Magic the Gathering, I named it the Izzet. The Izzet was my favorite guild in Ravnica. I really liked Niv Mizzet as the character in the stories, in the books, and the lore. So if you want to join, feel free to join the Izzet League. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out.